Programs like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlister Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you. Thank you.
Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suave day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence to pay. Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous. Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us. Divine social interactions remains marvelous. Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled. Dr. Brother Suave, divine light give you double.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and your host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Listen, I'm so excited. Last week we had a absolutely and suave, amazing Black Women's Dialogue. Man, we just had a great panel. Man, we learned a lot. It was powerful, and I told you we had a whole bunch of movers and shakers. So this month we are having Black Women's Dialogue. So listen, I'm super excited. We're going to have a very special guest tonight. I'm telling you, she's going to set it off, and we're going to set it off. But before I do anything, I just want to have a quick monologue and just discuss something. But before I do anything, I want to do my disclaimer again. This new concept is going to stir up some emotions, but a powerful emotion can help solve a problem. So tonight, man, we're going to have a very mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening experiences with our topic for tonight. You ready for this? Relationship resume. Yes, that's right. I said it. Relationship resume, unequally yoked. So now we're going to be talking about this. Now, everyone knows what a resume is. It's a document that's used to present background, skills, and accomplishments. You know, we know about it. And then when you do a cover sheet, you have a little intro about yourself, what you want to do, what you want to add to the company, and why should they hire you. Now, everyone's familiar with the traditional resume. Well, you know, Dr. Brother Suave is always being suavetaneous and creating his own suave philosophy. So what I did was coin a term called relationship resume. Yes, that's right. Relationship resume. Now, a relationship resume. What is a relationship resume? Well, a relationship resume is, again, it's something about your background when it comes to relationships. It talks about the people you dealt with, your developmental stages, some of the things you regretted, and the people you dated, and what was the outcome? Were you married? Did children come out of it? Were you engaged? Did you divorce? Those type of things. And then when you talking on a relationship resume, when you talk like a cover sheet, you're saying, what do you want out of this? What do you plan to achieve out of this? And so what we're going to be talking about is relationship resume, and also unequally yoked, and how that we're always talking about unequally yoked. And so we got to understand that unequally yoked, it's not always about spiritual compatibility or your spiritual philosophy. So what I'm going to do is discuss this issue, and it's going to be a mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening experience. So what I'm going to do is just give you a brief background about tonight's guest. My guest tonight is my sister Queen. I love her. She is one of the most beautiful, stylish, intelligent, and well-rounded queens. I mean, I love her. It's a little biased, but guess what? It's the truth, and it ain't bragging when it's the truth. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She's known as Emelda Faith-Focused Wallace. Her motto is walk by faith and not by sight. Believe what God showed you the first time, no matter what you're going through right now. She is encouraged at heart and counts it as a privilege and an honor to be used by God. Emelda is an ordained elder. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She holds an AS in Theology from Dr. E.V. Bible College. She holds an AS in Criminal Justice from Grambling State University. She also holds a Bachelor in Administration from Barry University, also a Master's in Public Administration, and currently she is pursuing a Doctorate in Organizational Learning at Barry University. Her daily prayer is, Lord, whatever you're doing in this season, please don't do it without me. So without further ado, we're going to bring on the beautiful and the wonderful Ms. Emelda Faith-Focused Wallace.
Good evening, Dr. Brother Suave. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, especially you on here tonight. I'm so happy, I'm so blessed, and I'm so privileged.
Oh, it is an honor to be here with you tonight. You know how I feel about you.
Yes.
So much love. I'm proud of you.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm just really happy, as I always like to give disclaimers, because sometimes the things I say ruffle feathers, and I definitely like to be mindful to give those disclaimers, because at the end of the day, sometimes people have different issues. And so I just make sure that I do my disclaimer, but also apologize if I offend someone, because I also want to be mindful of that, So listen, I'm going to slow it down, and I'm going to just tell you or ask you to just tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you've mentioned, some of the things that you've already mentioned, but I'm also a part of numerous organizations, International Mastermind, Clarity Mastermind. This year I was nominated as one of the Women of Impact of Miami-Dade County. That was amazing, mind-blowing, and I know it was nobody but God. You never know who's watching you. I was nominated, and so I had no clue until I got an email about it. Also, my brother, I have 3 brothers. I live with my mom, help take care of my mother, which is my queen, Jewel. You know that.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk about a whole lot of things that I've done, because I don't want to take up time, because this conversation tonight is going to be somewhat enlightening, and and then you'll learn some things. They'll learn more about me as we go along in this conversation tonight.
Okay. So tonight's topic. Thank you, Frederick Jones. How you doing, brother? Thank you. So tonight we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. So relationship resume. A lot of times, man, just so many of us are getting these relationships. So I'm going to start this by saying, again, everything that I do is from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. I just believe in balance.
Right.
I believe in balance. I think everything, like we always say, when we experience things, it happens for a reason. But I believe people are here for a purpose, and so when God creates things, he creates things for purposes. You understand? And so when he has our mechanics, he has them to fix cars. When he has our medical doctors, he has them to fix our biological part. And then when he has people who are dealing with mental health, this is important. And I think it's so important to understand those things are so imperative when it comes to dealing with our relationship resume, because sometimes we don't really recognize those things until a crisis happens. And then it's a term, I'm not for sure, that sometimes the people are so spiritual that they forget the natural, because all of us work. You understand?
Yes.
That's the natural part.
Right.
We have to go out and work so we can pay tithes and offering. We have to work and those things who build those mosques, churches, and everything. Those come from labor, hard labor. You don't just do some magic trick and pray, bam, or the genie thing. Everything has to have balance. And so
that's so
I
true.
want to really stress this, because in relationships, even when I was doing some research and I was just watching everything on YouTube, everything that I saw on YouTube was saying unequally yoked and only coming from a spiritual perspective.
Right.
And we know that is like order. When God says our personal relationship with God first, our spouses and our children, and then a ministry. It's order to certain things.
Correct.
And so when I was listening to some of the different YouTube channels and just looking, I'm like, nothing is acknowledging at all dealing with the natural part. Nothing's dealing with the mental part. And sometimes we have to be very mindful of that, because I've seen a lot of people who equally yoked when it comes to spiritual philosophy, but they're not equally yoked in any other areas. So I would like to, for you to your perspective.
Wow. And I was reading something today, preparing for this, and I wanted to, if you don't mind, I wanted to just give a definition of equally yoked, if you don't mind. No. So according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says a yoke is a wooden bar, a frame, which two animals are attached. And they're joined together at the heads or the neck for working together. The animals are joined by the yoke with the purpose of being joined or linked to accomplish a task, such as a pulling of a load. If the two animals are unequally yoked, this means that one of the animals is not as strong or as tall as the other animal, which the weaker and the shorter animal will not be able to walk as fast or support the load, resulting in the pair walking in circles and not being able to pull the load effectively.
See, thank you. Again, you see, a lot of times these things are important because, again, everything has its place. And so when we talk, we have to create balance, because sometimes, if anything, when people hear that, they naturally go to strictly the spiritual. That's and they don't think it's other definitions. And I would never do that blasphemy thing and just pretend God don't exist. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
But the thing is, we have to realize that things, and we have to recognize. I'm sorry. Hi, that's my frat brother. Soror's sister. Hi, Stacy. Thank you for showing and giving you support. So again, we have to realize, and you see that definition?
Yes.
It's just like when we use words like independent or codependent, but it's another word called interdependent, and that defines equally yoked. It has to be balanced. You know, we have to understand. It's just like you don't have to be passive and you don't have to be aggressive, but we forget about that important word called assertive, and we got to understand how important balance is. And I thank you for that, because that's the thing, equally yoked, and it just has to have those balances. And so those things that I just think are so important. And so you basically want to honor each other and create some balance, because
that's right.
You can sit there, because I'm not being funny, I'm not being selfish. That's why I give my disclaimers, because I've seen a lot of people, they know that Bible inside out, but I trust the Bible does those words. It doesn't pay bills. You know what I'm saying?
No, it doesn't.
On that Bible, you can't go on that resume. I'm talking about a natural resume, and go on that resume and apply for a job and say, I know the Bible inside out. How can you hook me up? It doesn't work that way.
That's right.
We have to, like faith without works is dead. The faith is our spiritual connection to God and believing that He's going to have our back and support us. But He wants us to go out there and work.
That's right. Absolutely. And being an elder in the church,
Mm-hmm.
Even Christians are unequally yoked.
Yes.
Because just because we're in the church and we say we love God, that does not mean that we are equally yoked. I
Yes.
do believe that we are all here for a purpose, and you
Yes.
mentioned that earlier. And I do believe that, and it's just my belief, I believe that there is a divine person for me and for you that I'm supposed to be connected to for us to
Yes.
fulfill our purpose here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he did it for Adam and Eve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boaz and Ruth,
Mm-hmm.
they were divinely connected for a purpose.
Yes.
So even
Absolutely.
even we have to be mindful, and like you say, we're so spiritually, and it's really religiously. I would say.
Yeah. 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 And those are one of the things. Sometimes, we like sometimes our community, we I feel sometimes we need to promote financial literacy as much as we push religion. And I think sometimes we gotta promote mental health, equally yoked, eating right, economics as much as we push religion. Because again, we need balance because we need to understand and give an account about our mental health state, our substance abuse issues,
That's right.
our eating issues, our economics. Because I could tell you this, and this is what I want to say. Sometimes like when we look at a man or woman and say, "Oh, that's a man or woman of God," and we want them. And sometimes they're not even believers. And so when they become believers, and trust, they don't always become believers because they trying to do the right thing about God. They
Right.
sometimes are trying to please the person. They're not trying to please God.
Exactly. That's
And
right.
so they do those things, and their agenda is it's an agenda. And so it's
Exactly.
even not right. And so basically, they just trying to please the person. And they may say it verbally, but in
Right.
their heart, they say, listen, she's going to leave me if I don't
But then
become.
the actions, the actions are, don't
Yes,
line up with what the words are saying.
yes. And I remember, and we have to, again, you know, and how people do things is like, I think it's Second Corinthians says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers or something like that.
Yeah, it's 2 Corinthians
Yeah.
chapter 6, verses 14 through 15. It says, "For we are, excuse me, for we are the temple of the living God. And as God said, I will live in them and walk among them. I will be their God, and they will be my people. Therefore, come out of them among unbelievers and separate yourself from them, says the Lord. Do not do not touch their filthy things, and I will welcome you, and I will be your father, and you will be my son and daughters, says the Lord Almighty." And
Hmm.
that's the NLT version of that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yes. And so, and again, now, again, we have two individuals who are interested in one another, right?
Right,
They interested in one another, and let's say they're on the same equally yoke when it comes to spiritual philosophy.
right,
And this is something that not just me see, but we see it all the time.
hmm,
So again, the equally yoked. So now it's an order. Remember, I say like the man's supposed to, go to the parents and ask for their hand and
right,
and have everything in order. Not saying perfect, but he's supposed to be able to bring his wife into the house. And I know things have changed naturally because a lot of women are doing their thing, having their own.
right,
However, when you're looking at a lot of things in terms of same equally yoked when it comes to the spiritual philosophy, but
hmm,
it's a huge economic disparity.
yes,
And when it comes to marriages, specifically in our community, in 2021, I think it was 42%, and in 2022, thus far as 44.2%. Now we're talking about how people divorces because she may have something, money. Money
right,
may be tied to education.
right,
Education may be tied to intellect. Intellect may be tied to development. And development may be tied to your drive.
right.
Now you see all those
Oh, yeah,
characteristics, and the
hmm,
only thing they got in common is their spiritual philosophy.
exactly.
Now, I know I was married in the church, and I know a lot of divorces ended in the church, And that spiritual philosophy did not hold those families together.
Mhm.
This is, I think, why it's so important that we talk about everything, you know,
Right.
because my favorite book and my favorite book is the book of Proverbs, and it gives us wisdom and understanding. And I think we have to come together, get wise counsel, and talk about these things that will significantly improve the kingdom of God, improve our relationships and our
Right.
families.
That's right. I agree.
And so, speaking of those relationships, I have a question for you. Do you believe having a relationship with God will help your relationships with others?
Absolutely. I think that that is the first relationship that we should have. And because God teaches us, first of all, when we, especially Him, because He first loved us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then knowing that He loved us in all our imperfectness that we are,
Uh-huh.
it helps us to love ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't believe that, and this is based on my experiences in my own
Mm-hmm.
relationships, because I've had my shortcomings and not loving myself more or first, and having
Mm-hmm.
that and keeping that dedication of the relationship with Him first, to know that I was not supposed to love that person more than myself,
Yes. It's funny because
because I,
um
I am guilty. I've
yeah,
done
no,
been there.
a lot of us are. And
Yes.
I remember it's funny that you say that because in a book that I wrote, The 10 Commandments of Intimacy, and the one of the questions of what I was asking was, why are we so captivated with the idea of being in a relationship instead of being in a strong relationship with ourselves?
Hmm.
You understand? And those, again, those outside, other than concentrate, because you remember a relationship with God. But as
Right.
we're on earth, we human beings, we got to have a relationship with
Yes.
ourselves and
Yes.
learn how to love ourselves. And unbeknownst of us, we may say it, but our
Right.
actions are not consistent with loving ourselves. We say it because every man is a lover of himself, or we say that, but when we start being in those toxic relationships, we start compromising and putting everybody
Yes.
first
First.
before us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a universal thing, self-preservation. Put the thing on yourself, but we somehow find some way to go against nature.
Right.
You know, it's almost like these relationship resumes. You know, we have to understand our personal relationship resume with
Right.
ourselves. You know,
That's right.
just like our CV. You know, break that thing down.
That's right. That's right. And I often tell people today, it's so important for you to take your own inventory, um,
Yes,
seek God for your purpose. And a lot of
mm,
times when we take our own inventory, it's not a pretty picture at times.
yes,
Things we
it
find
is
out about
not.
ourselves. So then you say, well, if I don't like that about me, what about, and then you find out that you're really not loving who you are.
Mm,
So
mm,
if
mm.
you're not doing that, how is someone else going to love you?
Yes, have
Then
all
you
the standards on people, but we're not putting it on ourselves.
know, and it'll take you in a dark place, and it'll allow you to compromise, it'll allow you to settle. And what I mean by settle is that you would get in a relationship with someone that don't really want to be in a relationship, but you think that you can, change them if you just keep doing things that they like.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah, and that's that denial. I
Oh
think
yes.
yes,
Oh yeah.
and it was funny that I was going to ask you that. You know, why you think it's important to have take an inventory of yourself. But again, I guess you answered it. It's like
Mhm.
you have to really, it's like the man in the mirror, looking in the mirror. No matter how much you try to move, change, and like I don't like this, it is a
Right.
reflection of you.
Yes, that's
Care how
right.
much you try to change and like, okay, no, that's reality. And sometimes, I always say one thing. I say denial is a terrible disease because one thing
Terrible.
about the disease of denial, you don't realize you have it.
That's so true. That is so true. That is
You
so
know,
true. And it's not until you sit down and really, stop jumping from relationship to relationship and spend some
hmm
time with yourself. A lot of times we don't like to be alone because we don't
yeah,
like ourselves.
yeah. And it's funny that you say that. I really, because I'm going to ask you a question. when you say a lot of times we don't like ourselves, can you
Mhm.
expand on that?
Well, because then we always looking for compliments from others or people to, uh, validate us and say that it's so. I'll talk about me. Okay,
Mm,
so I've gone through, different relationships and being rejected, and so now I'm feeling uh, like there's something wrong with me or I'm not good enough. So I'm looking
mm,
at my weight, I'm looking at my hair, I'm looking at, different things about myself that maybe they don't like me because of this or it's something that I'm not doing or something that I didn't say. And we find ourselves in that place, and then the self-sabotage, which is really bad. And you
yeah.
can take I was talking to a friend of mine
Mm,
last evening, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "No, I'm not feeling well." And I said, "Well, what's wrong?" He said, "I've done a lot of bad things." And I said, "But you've done a lot of wonderful things, regardless of what you've done in the past." And that's where I am right now, taking my own inventory, stepping back. And I'm not in a relationship right now, but I want to love me more.
yes.
Cutting my hair was, I didn't want to cut my hair. This wasn't the time for me. Well, I wasn't ready for that, but I felt it made me feel some kind of way about myself.
Hmm.
And I had to tell myself, listen, embrace it. This is the beauty of who you are. You're not your hair,
Yeah.
and you're not what others think of you. You are who you think of. What did God say about you?
Hmm. Hmm.
And what do you believe that He said? Do you believe what He said? He
Hmm.
said, you're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes, you are.
Say you're the apple of my eye. Do I believe that? Do I believe what his word says? But
Hmm.
then I have to believe it for me, for myself.
Yes. Yes.
And that's hard to do when you've gone through a lot of things, when you've been rejected, when you've been through broken heart,
Yeah.
you've been through divorce. I work in divorce court, so I see it. But not even that. I've experienced it even in my own relationships. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm taking the time now to take my own inventory, to
Yeah.
love on myself more.
Yeah. I'm glad you say that. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break and go into station identification. However, before we do that,
Mhm.
I want us to say something together. And this is the thing I always tell people to say. I love myself some me. And I want you to
I
say, listen.
I love myself some me, and I can honestly say that and really mean it today.
Yes, because I was getting ready to say I need you to say that with some conviction.
Yeah,
I need this, I need to feel it.
listen,
Because I was
I
like, I
love
love myself some me.
I love myself some me
You
today.
know
But
what I'm
I'm
saying?
telling you, it's such a blessing.
Yes. And again, people say things, but it needs to be conviction. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Just like, you say, well, I believe in God. No, I believe in God, and so
yeah,
therefore you're not even worrying about it.
right.
You say it and that's it. So we're gonna go into station identifications. We'll be right back with social therapy with Dr. Brother Suave.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast. is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice, got voice, you heard?
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave. We're back with Black Women's Dialogue. Today's topic is relationship resume. Thank you, Loretta.
Amen.
Yes, thank you. She loved herself so much. Okay. Amen.
Right.
Amen. So yes, Tamara Joyce. I love myself so me. You know what? I'm feeling good. I'm gonna write this down. Tamara and Loretta.
Right.
You guys winning. I love me. I love myself some me tea. Inbox me and give me your sizes. And you have one I love myself some me t-shirts, okay?
That's awesome.
Oh man, that was swawesome.
Yes.
It got me. Yes, but this is the attitude. Because see, I again, it's not about words, it's about action. That's why people say actions speak louder than words. So many people say things. It's just like so many people say, I'm this, I'm not going to do that. And it has to be the balance. Again, those things are balanced. And so when I'm talking about this unequally yoked, and again, I saw a lot of articles, I saw a lot of things on YouTube, and nobody addressed the balance. It was strictly only the spiritual perspective. And so I know one of the persons on one of the YouTube videos I was watching, he was talking about if you guys are not on the same page, in terms of your God, the right and wrong, the heaven and hell, about God, then if you're not on the same page, it's hard to make those marriages work. And so I said, wow. Now, understanding, doing therapy, going to seminary, going through divorces, I've seen it a lot. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've seen a lot of statistics when it says the number one cause of divorce is this, the number one cause of divorce of that, and you didn't see me in divorce court, And so it's like, hey, wait a minute now, it's a little more things. So what I was doing is write down some little notes, and I'm like, okay, well, what about marriages not being able to sustain as a result of finances?
That's right.
What about marriages not being able to sustain as the intellectual incompatibility? Because a lot of times we look at the physical characteristics and it being a Christian, because it's just a matter of making a choice. They're not active Christians. They're not praying Christians. They're not fasting Christians. They're not doing out for the community, giving charity as Christians. And so a lot of times they're not equally yoked. And so they were like, hey, and they're not on the same page. And I'm going to tell you something. I've seen a lot of codependent marriages, and the lady's working her behind off, making plenty of money. That's her house. And she coming back and she can't get no help. She can't have her husband to figure things out. And it's vice versa. But I've seen a lot of signs where the ladies, that's her house. And it's like, because eventually it wears on the lady.
Right.
Like, wow, did I sign up for this? I guess because I compromised, because I thought equally yoked was being on the same page when it comes to my spiritual philosophy. Yes. And then I'm not realizing, guess what? I am a saved woman of God, and I'm doing right. And my husband is a Christian, but he's on that tonic. He's on that product, Right. And I'm just pretending this is not real. I'm gonna pray this thing. Wait. And a lot of times, again, you have to be able to put those substance abuse counseling classes, some treatment, some therapy, and those a lot of those things. And the last thing I'm gonna be talking about developmentally. Same thing with the intellect. I've seen certain things where thank you, Tracy. Not actually Christian, absolutely. Let me tell you something. I've seen a person who speak so much about God and how, and not one time did they ever congregate with other Christians. Not one time they had some mentor accountability. Not one time did they take their child to learn and anything, but they'll sit there and promote it because again, it's what the mouth say, but the actions is something completely
Right.
different.
Right.
You know, and so that last one I was saying developmentally.
But
Again,
even if I may add, even intimacy.
yeah. Well again, you remember that book, The 10 Commandments of Intimacy? 10 of them. It's 10 of them, and we're talking about again, the equally yoked. You know,
Yes.
the equally yoked. And guess what? Like here's one that I'm talking about. Number 6 is the intimacy of balance. For balance, we want to have our appreciation for each other to share and partner. So the creating balance of in our marriages and relationships, you cook, I clean, you
Right.
wash, I dry, you cut, I trim, you set the table, I fix the food. Because again, when you have one person doing everything,
Right.
they get drained.
Yeah. Get burned. You
They
burn
don't
out.
feel appreciated.
That's right.
You know, and it's again, those are not equal yoke because we want to say, well, they're Christian, so I got me a good Christian partner.
Yeah.
And it's
No.
so many different parts. You know, it's so many different parts.
You have to sacrifice. It's a sacrifice that you have to, you have to help one another. And I, like I said, I do believe that relationships, and it's not just male and female, even with friendships,
Ooh, yes.
because you can have some friends that'll take you south when you're trying to go north.
Yes.
So we have to be mindful, even in our friendship relationship.
Mm-hmm. You know, you get around some friends. I think I don't know what particular verse, but it says you gotta watch who you hang right because you may pick up some habits you can't get rid of.
That's right.
You know, and
That's
so
right.
again, it's those relationships, and it's important because
Yeah.
unequally yoked relationships, like you say, ain't got to be male and female. It could be
Mm-mm.
somebody that I don't even do that kind of stuff, and you hanging with them.
That's right. And your next thing you know, you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not a matter of, and we can say, oh, I'm not gonna do that. Oh, I'm not, but you don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
You don't know what you may end up doing.
Because arrogance is when we at our most vulnerable point.
Oh, yes, that's right.
We think we
That's
on point, so we're not. You know, we're not working out hard. Oh, so Stacey says yes,
Yes,
toxicity of friendships is real.
that's
Yes,
right.
it is, Soror. Yes, it is.
Right.
You know, because sometimes, man, I mean, look at it. Every person you know who abused drugs was with someone who was abusing drugs,
Yes,
and they wasn't using it.
right.
They
That's
wasn't
right.
using it.
Cherise.
Oh my God!
Cherise.
Look at
Hey,
her.
Cherise.
Oh
I love
man,
myself. That's
I
right.
love myself some of you. Look at you. That's the motto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, listen, that's gonna be that's it for the year. I'm changing it. I love myself some me.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because those relationships, and again,
Yeah.
these people, you know how like you hear about people going to jail and they were good people and they had nothing to do it
That's
because they
right.
was hanging with people they had no business hanging with.
Mhm.
And so what happens is they end up having those unequally yoked relationship because they would come from a good background.
Right.
They wasn't all about that. And then somebody being around them, introducing them to bad behavior, crime, and drugs. And that it changed the trajectory of their life as a
Right.
result of them being in those unequal relationships. And I'm not, like you said, not just boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, but just associates, peers, friends,
That's right.
you know?
That's right. And we're not perfect, but if you're like, say, for instance, with me, I'm a part of these organizations, Clarity Mastermind, International
Mhm.
Mastermind, and we work on 10 areas of our lives. It's not just spiritual, it's physical, mental,
Mhm.
family, charity, community, and all these things, finances, which helps me to, get myself going. And I like to hang out with like-minded people. I, you know, I'm a part of these organizations because of the like-minded people that I'm connecting myself with that are moving forward and trying to fulfill their purpose. The Clarity Mastermind group, we're, seeking to gain clarity on the purpose of our lives, professional and personal. It's
Yeah.
not just You know, and it's not all just about spiritual. Of course, I'm a child of God, and I'm
Yes.
going to seek him. The Bible says it in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be added unto you. But then I want to know my purpose. Jeremiah 29:11, you know, he know the plans that he have. So I'm going to seek him, but I'm also going to connect myself with like-minded people that are seeking out, trying to fulfill their purpose in life, to walk in their destiny.
And so let's address Soros, Stacy's. Go ahead and read it if you like.
Well, she said, yes, the world says birds of a feather flock together. Amos, now you can walk together. That's so true. That is so true. And I'm telling you, you can think that. Listen, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. Okay, all right. I'm telling you, it will, you like you said earlier, arrogance
Yeah.
can cause you think that, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. Next thing you know, you're all in it.
You know what? Let me tell you, as your brother, you know how I definitely had my share of women.
Right.
And I used to always laugh because they were like, you ain't gonna treat me like other girls. You ain't gonna be all that 2 nights, and you think you're gonna okay. You know,
Okay.
because and so they get so arrogant. Next thing you know, it's a day. You know, and sometimes arrogance is when you're at the most vulnerable point, and you'll sit there and think, and just to say it, you thinking you know overcompensating by saying that, but you already know you're vulnerable.
That's right.
You know?
And even when you're saying it, you already know. Listen,
Yeah.
you're already out of your clothes. You already forget about it. The fact that you even here, you giving me your time, it's gonna happen.
Yes.
And I can only say that because I've been there, done that.
Yes.
I understand. You take like I say, you take your own inventory and really be honest with yourself about that.
Yeah.
It's
It
so
was
important.
I want you to go back because something you said just really struck a chord, and it's just amazing that you say, because when you were saying relationships with friends, and I was sitting there, I'm like, what make you think a person can be a strong Christian, educated, driven, eating right, staying healthy, making money, and being successful? You know, you can be it all. You can have it all. You don't have to be save and not take care of your body, not doing what you need to do to create balance in your life. You can have money, you can have a career, you can have everything you want, you know? It's just to keep in some balance. So when you said that, that triggered me to say that. And I probably don't know, but I would like for you to expand on that again, please. Because we want friends, you know, to have.
You're talking about French.
Yes, friendships, you know, because you look all your friends, they're deltas, they're driven, they're educated, they're smart, they're in what do you call it? The speakers network you in?
Yeah, but then I'm also a part of other organizations as well that is helping me to create this balance in my life. International Mastermind, Clarity Mastermind. And I think that's so important because we all grow and evolve, okay?
Yes.
In our lives. And there are certain relationships that you know you have to cut off when you know that those persons are not going in a direction that you're going. Not that they're bad people. We're just going in a different direction because I'm starting to understand my purpose. And so now my purpose doesn't line up with, I have something that I want to share with you. There's a self-confidence formula that we read that are part of my Clarity Mastermind group. Every day we have to read. It's out of the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's 5 things, and I'm not going to share all 5, but it talks about, second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person, but also I want to read this one. It says, and I fully realize no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transactions which does not benefit whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use in the corporation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself.
I was just reading. Look, and see, this is what I'm talking about, balance. And go,
Yes.
watch this. The social.
Yes.
There you go. The clinical.
Yes.
And the spiritual.
Absolutely.
Balance. Now, you just read something that we know this book has changed billions of lives.
Yes.
And guess what? It's not this.
No, it's not.
You know, and guess what? This is a lot of things when people go through PTSD.
Yes.
And we know a lot of people. So we have to understand the balance. So when you just share this with whomever watching this, could be millions, thousands, hundreds, or 10.
Right.
The bottom line is that information is imperative and understand relationships and life and equally yoked. All this stuff is balanced. God creates everything for a purpose.
Exactly.
He blessed Napoleon because everyone knows that book's it's going to be an intergenerational thing. It's never going to go away.
Never.
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 You know,
and I've read it several times. Never.
Absolutely. And so again, this is why it's important because again, we have some people who just don't know this. And I'm telling you, I want to see how that changed their life economically and generational. Because I'm not being funny, but I've seen a lot of extremely poor people who just, you know, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to leave it alone. So again, when it comes like our friendships and our value systems. So we have value systems and we have mores, which is generational value systems. And sometimes when it comes again in the relationship resume, going back to those males and females, sometimes it could be conflict when you have different perspectives and values. You know, and a lot of times it's just like this generational value systems, you know. I'm not being judgmental for anyone listening, but I'm just saying, let's say people have a thing when it comes to, let's say, 2-parent household versus 1-parent household. Now, I'm not knocking, but I know sometimes when a single-parent household, sometimes the institution of marriage is marginalized. You know, is marginalized. Not all, because it's never going to, anybody know quantitative methods, anything over 50% becomes the norm. So the generalization is based on quantitative methods, passing that 50%. But, and so now you got another person who comes out of 2-parent household and that's their thing. So you have two people who coming together and they're unequal when it comes to their value system. And those things can create conflict, you know.
That's right.
And it may be certain things that you say, okay, we got a person who got a career and I like this, another person. And as a result of what's going on now, do you know a lot of divorces? Just what I just said about mores and value systems. Do you know the number one cause of divorce right now?
No.
Is the attitudes towards marriage.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because we see that in the courtroom as well. And that's why it's important to have conversations with people who you hook up with.
Yes, and that's why I was saying, that's why I gave the thing about values, systems, and generation and mores, because sometimes like you ever hear people, I don't want to, I can't have a kid if I'm not married. And then now we're like, well, I don't care, I just want to have a child. And those are the things when I, again, social, spiritual, clinical, and this is where we don't even realize the continuation of generational curses.
Wow.
So our carnal-minded, natural social perspectives about the marginalization of marriage before children has increased the generational curses. But because we only thinking socially, we forget about that. So that's why I say we can't just think socially and forget about spiritual.
Right.
We can't just think about spiritual because again, we have to look at a lot of those things and and try to create balance.
It's the balance is very important.
Yes,
Very
it is.
important. And that's why it's so important for me, like, I said, to stay connected to like-minded people,
Yeah.
And we haven't had a lot of successful marriages in my family, but that doesn't, uh, my faith is still strong in that marriages do work, but you got to be connected to that. I really just believe that divinely connections to
But
that person.
that's, again, this is why I say it's always balanced, because
Yeah.
a circle of causality is clinical. So someone got to break the circle of causality. In social, we're talking about insanity cycle. You got to break it, doing something over and over, expecting a different result. And then
Right.
the spiritual, which is generational curses. Somebody got to break it. So
Right.
just because our family do something, but that's why people think you do better when you know better. It's just not about knowledge. It's about discipline and follow through.
That's
So
so
you can have the individual, like God gives you the free will to break those generational curses, to break those patterns of repetition, to break those insanity cycles.
right.
And so you were saying about friendship. So I want to ask you this question: how important do you think it is to love yourself before developing a relationship with others?
I think it's important for me to love myself first, because then I won't rely on others or depend on them to love me or make me feel valuable. I'll know that I'm worth everything that I desire to have or want, even
Yes.
friendships, but not based on if you like me or if you don't like me. I and I wanted the love that I give to myself is going to pour out of me to others. And I
Yes.
found that when I'm balanced and when I'm loving myself, it's
Mm.
like the drawing.
Yes. Yes. Hey.
And I love it. I love it. Not that I'm looking for, but today I was at work and I wear certain colors because I like to lift my spirit first. It's going to
Mm.
start with me first. So the young man at work, he said, "My God, you look so beautiful. That dress you're wearing just brightened my day. You look beautiful." And I said, "Well, that's the purpose." I say, first, it started with me because
Mm.
I wanted to feel like you're feeling. So
Mm.
now look what happened to him. So I'm like this little social butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
But that, I just believe that, it is the number one thing, of course, the relationship we should have is with God. But if we don't have a relationship with ourselves, we're in trouble, because then we're seeking things from other people that we shouldn't. And then we get attached to certain people we shouldn't get attached to.
Yes, and that's where you come those spiritual strongholds. That's
Yes.
why sometimes, that's why I say being around those people who are not your peers, I mean, unequally yoked in terms of you pick up those things, then you get connected to them, and then it's a stronghold. People are like, why you so, you need to leave that person alone, because
Ooh.
of those spiritual strongholds. Because you were spiritually disobedient, you start hanging around people
Mhm.
you shouldn't have been around, but you did it anyway. And then next thing you start picking up little habits. You find yourself feeling so connected to them. And
That's
guess what? And then you start making a million excuses. Well, they need me.
right.
Somebody to keep them encouraged. They showed you who they were.
Guilty. I've been there, done that. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it will take you to a dark place. It'll have you doing some things that and you have to pull it. Sometimes it could be hard to pull yourself up out of that.
Mm-hmm. This is why I always tell people, and I'm just saying this, and it's a thing that I think women need to really realize,
Mm-hmm.
that y'all determine is superior to ours, but you always getting caught up on matters of the heart and emotions.
That's right. That's right.
God gave y'all that superior. It's just like dealing with a dude. He's sorry, he broke and crazy, but you
Yeah.
get caught up, and
I
God
can
didn't
fix
chase
him. I can save him. I
Yeah,
want to
he didn't
save
told
him.
and it's like, it's like, when you're gonna learn your
Save
lesson?
yourself,
He gives you
sister.
those gifts. He gives you those gifts. And sometimes the same thing with your friends, like,
Yeah.
why? And watch this. Girls trip. The same girl who ruined every single trip every year, you still tell her. You're like, why? Y'all, you know how you go to homecoming, you go to the Bahamas, you're like, she ruined it every single time. And it. This is the conversation. Child, we shouldn't tell her. And the next thing you know, you're complaining. we ain't gonna do it again, and you do it.
Yes, that's
You
so
know,
true.
and these are the
That
things
is
that
so
I
true.
say. You got to be mindful and honor those discernment, man. God gives you,
He does.
you know,
He
and that's why I
does.
always tell them, I said, listen, again, who said, child, bye. You ain't gonna fix them. You know, you know, and I say, listen, one of the most painful experiences of pain and regret. Use your discernment, you won't have them.
That's so
You won't
true.
have those hardships. You
That's
won't,
so
you know, you always say, well, people make mistakes. Listen, there's something in between that mistake is that gift of discernment. And I can
exactly.
tell you, use it and you won't have that story. You won't have that testimony. Let me
That's
tell you something. I tell you what, I can do without a spirited filled testimony if I avoided that shot, avoided that bullet. I could do without that testimony, as long as I duck that bullet.
That's right.
Because if I honor my discernment, it'll work all right.
And that is so, oh my goodness, that is so important. I was on a live on Clubhouse this morning, and they were talking about that spirit of discernment.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because the husband and wife on there, the husband she talked about that she knew that God divinely connected her with her husband. And she talked about how he has a spirit of discernment and hers is not so high. So he pulls her tail to let her know, hey, come on back over here. I need you to see. You don't see what I see. But see, they're divinely connected. And she understood that.
Yeah, but you know what? What I heard from my male ear and male brain is that she was obedient. He was a leader. She was submissive. And he covered.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, and a lot of times when we as men say something, the first thing is kick back in opposition.
Right.
And as men, we don't want that all the time because, again, I'm not bragging, but I always had a gift of discernment. So when I'm saying something, I'm not saying to hurt. I'm trying to cover us, trying to make sure we're okay. Don't want nothing to happen to us.
Can I just share something with you?
Okay.
And I shared with a coworker today. I say, you know, my brother used to come around and talk to us about different things. And had I listened to him years ago, my life would be different. And I'm talking about you. Because a lot of decisions and things that I made, you tried to warn me and I didn't listen. But I thank God for you today. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you walking in your purpose and fulfilling your purpose and doing what you do and blessing so many people.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. A lot of things that you tried to share and warn. I didn't listen. But I'm just so grateful today of the man that you are and who you are becoming and the lives that you're touching through this. I call it your ministry, your purpose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Listen, wow. Listen, this has been sort of lost for words, and everybody know I'm never lost for words. Hi, Auntie.
I just need to tell you that.
Yeah.
You need to know that.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, it's something that I always stood in my lane and my purpose, and people used to think my confidence or my discernment was something I think I'm a know-it-all, but I was always listen to God. I listened to wisdom, conviction. That's why I say my favorite book is the Book of Wisdom and Understanding, and it talks about rejecting wisdom. You know, and a lot of times I was like, hey, I'm just trying to say, because I know me, been a womanizer. I know the things I would see. I know that the good dudes, the bad dudes, and how we so fixated on popularity and cool. And these things we have to really, really listen. Because again, when I tell somebody, I am not trying to hurt them. I'm trying to empower them, because certain things I see. And that's why I always honor my gift, you know.
Right.
So I thank you for this public acknowledgement. I'm probably, well, I'm
Absolutely.
not probably, I will cry when I get off the air because I'm emotional.
Oh, yeah.
You know how I am, because I am honest with people.
Right. You are.
and
The people can accept it when you're not in a good space, and when you're not, like I said, when you haven't taken your own inventory and been honest with yourself about your shortcomings. You're thinking someone is attacking you or trying to, and that wasn't the case. You were just really trying to help, but I wasn't in a good space at that time.
yeah.
So, but thank God today I love me some me.
Yes. Yes. Do you have I love my love? You have a shirt?
I don't think I have that shirt.
Okay.
No, because I was like, what T-shirt is he talking about?
Well, I fly out tomorrow because Gio graduates on Friday.
Okay.
And so that's the last of Mohican. So he graduates. He's going to be going to Lynn University.
Nice.
Amen.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So I got him on board. He's going to be making it. So anyway, as any last minute things you want to say, words of encouragement, or any services or products that you have to offer, or any platforms that you would like to invite the listening audience?
Well, they can join me on Facebook. If you go to my Emelda Wallace, you put in Emelda Wallace. I'm also on Instagram. I don't have any products yet. I'm working on some things that ministry that God is birthing out of me because of, it's so amazing how things that we go through in life, purpose to help even push us into our purpose.
Yes.
And so I'm working on some things, and I'll be getting with you in reference to that. And I just want to encourage the people to first love yourself, be honest with yourself. And like she said, this has blessed my whole soul. To God be the glory.
She is a wonderful.
And because we want to be well and whole, and I don't believe that we are any good for anybody else if we're not well and whole for ourselves first.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah. So that's what I would like to encourage.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Today was a wonderful Black Women's Dialogue. Our topic was relationship resume, unequally yoked. Again, if you found something that is of some value, please cash app us SUAVE R Walker. Again, this is wonderful subject. Our wonderful, beautiful guest, my sister, Emelda Wallace. And so again, just remember, great minds, great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
What's up, everyone? I'm Brandy the Disconnector, wife, show host, entrepreneur, investor, and ICS certified life coach, here to tell you that I'm on NPN TV, the network that is by us and for us. Lock in and let's get it.
Hello, my name is Goma Marie Conde. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified trauma counselor, and I am on NPN TV.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard? This program was made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you.